O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Ahurquit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Imagine looking at this old 1599 engraving. It's full of swords, scales, cryptic geometry. You'd probably assume it's, just a magical spell or a tarot card, right?
Absolutely. On the surface, it looks like pure 17th century mysticism.
But what if I told you Isaac Newton and Robert Boyle used this exact image as a highly classified, totally functional chemistry manual?
Yeah, it's wild to think about. That is the reality of the seventh key of Basil Valentine. Our mission today is to decode this bizarre alchemical emblem for you. We're going to reveal the rigorous empirical science hidden right there in its visual architecture.
Right. So to start, the focal point of this whole engraving is this massive glass flask, and it's got the word Ceos inscribed on it.
Which represents unformed primordial matter. Yeah.
Exactly. And inside this flask, there's all this nested geometry. There's a downward pointing triangle labeled AQUA, and that's inside a square labeled Sal Philosophorum. And then all that is surrounded by a circle of the four seasons.
It's a lot to take in at first glance.
It really is. It's like squaring the circle in alchemy, which is basically trying to capture lightning in a jar. You need a physical container strong enough to hold raw, volatile energy without shattering it.
Right, but that geometry isn't just metaphorical. It translates directly into a coded recipe for physical transformation. So at the center is that AQUA triangle. In the lab, that isn't plain water.
Wait, what is it then?
It actually encodes the universal solvent. So we're talking highly corrosive mineral acids like hydrochloric or sulfuric acid. They use those to violently rip apart the molecular bonds of base metals.
Okay, but if it's supposed to be a scientific manual, why draw a cryptic triangle? Like, why not just write out sulfuric acid so the practitioner actually knows what to do?
Well, it's all about intellectual property protection. I mean, if you openly published how to dissolve base metals, rivals could just swoop in and steal your life's work.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, the symbols filtered out the amateurs. But even if you know the code, simply boiling corrosive acid means it quickly evaporates into the room.
Right, which brings in the square, I assume.
Exactly, the philosophical salt. It acts as a chemical buffer. It absorbs the chaotic energy of the acid, raising its boiling point so it stays liquid at higher temperatures without instantly vaporizing.
So you have this highly volatile acid, physically stabilized by salt, and standing right behind the flask in the image is a woman holding a raised sword and a pair of scales.
Yes, and the sword clearly represents the active force tearing matter apart. Alchemists call that separation process solve.
But if you're relentlessly hacking away at chemical bonds like that, how does the experiment not just end in a massive toxic explosion?
That is where the scales come in. They prevent exactly that. The scales represent what modern chemists call stoichiometry, which is the coagula phase.
Meaning you have to perfectly balance the reaction.
Precisely. If your measurements are off by even a fraction of a gram, the active acid overpowers your salt buffer. The mixture either fails entirely or, literally blows up in your face.
Which brings up a really practical problem. You have boiling acid dissolving metal in a flask. How does the alchemist actually survive a room full of expanding toxic gas?
Well, if you look at the neck of the flask in the engraving, it's labeled Sigillum Hermetis, the seal of Hermes.
Okay, so a seal.
Yeah. To contain the toxic gas and the pressure, alchemists literally melted the glass shut. They created a pressurized bomb.
Wait, so that's the origin of the term hermetically sealed?
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly dangerous. So once it's sealed and pressurized, that circle of the four seasons comes into play, right?
Right. It basically instructs the practitioner to apply moderate sustained heat to mimic the slow warming of the earth.
Doing that evenly to a pressurized glass bomb in 1599 just feels almost impossible.
You'd think so. But they develop brilliant workarounds. Sometimes they achieve that pure, sustained heat by focusing solar rays through parabolic mirrors directly onto the flask.
No way. That's actually genius.
It really is. It completely avoids the soot and unpredictable fluctuation of a standard wood fire. And we know it works because modern chemists like Lawrence M. Principe have actually decoded these exact visual steps.
Wait, really? They actually replicated it?
Yeah, they successfully replicated the reactions in modern labs. The hidden recipe works perfectly.
That is wild. The seventh key just proves early alchemy wasn't just mystical hand-waving. I mean, it was rigorous empirical science demanding immense physical and psychological discipline.
Absolutely. They were conducting cutting-edge chemistry, just operating behind a veil of intricate artistic allegory to protect their discoveries from the uninitiated.
Which leaves you, our listener, with something to really consider today. If the greatest minds of the 17th century hid their most explosive, revolutionary breakthroughs in plain sight, disguised as fantasy art, what modern technological miracles might currently be hitting right in front of you?
That's a great point.
Yeah, like what impossible scientific puzzle is masked right now by dense corporate jargon or heavily redacted patents? It's definitely something to mull over the next time you assume you're just looking at a pretty picture.